I'd like to call the Tuesday, June 6, 2017 Papillion City Council meeting to order. Mrs. Brown, would you please take the roll?
Florence? Mumgard? Here. Gaines? Here. Glover? Jaworski? Here. Klug? Here. Stubbe? Here. Engberg? Here.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And do we have an affidavit of publication on file?
That's correct.
And a current copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the back of the council chambers. Thought I had a proclamation. Is it up there? We're not gonna, oh no, I was just looking at an old note. Never mind. Administrator's report. Ms. Myers, that's your first one.
It is. I'm glad I've got a small crowd to give my first one to. So, but thank you, Mayor Black. Papillion Bay had a 3-day weekend attendance of over 3,600 people. It was one of our busiest weekends on record. Granted, that was for 3 days, but the newly installed filter system handled the high volume without any problems. So, significant improvement from last year. The Papillion Days celebration begins next Wednesday, June 14th, with a kickoff event at Sumter Amphitheater. You should have been provided a Papillion Days schedule. I think I saw them at your workstations. This year, the Mayor's Luncheon is now an early evening event. You should have also received an invitation. It will be held on Friday, June 16th, beginning at 6 p.m. and again hosted by the Papillion Community Foundation. If you haven't already RSVP'd to Ellie Hardy, please do that, the executive assistant. And again, it is for yourself and a guest, just to clarify. The department heads have already begun to prepare the 2017-2018 budget. Mayor Black and I would like to meet with each of you regarding the upcoming budget. Again, if Ellie hasn't already contacted you, she will be contacting you to set up a time for us to meet. Finally, we received 98 applications for my former position, Assistant City Administrator. Mayor Black and I have gone through those and are continuing to do that. So we're in the process of reviewing those applications and expect to begin those interviews before the end of June, hopefully with the selection soon and someone on board the first part of August. Thank you. That's the end of my report.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Sir.
Over here. Can I have a question? Can you give us an update on the status of Lincoln Street with respect to Papillion Days? What is or isn't going to be open?
We actually just discussed that today at the staff meeting. Right now, Lincoln Road is open from Washington Street to Jackson, which is the new main entrance into the park. The entrance at Adams was permanently closed and will remain closed indefinitely. So everything from Washington to Jackson Street will be open. Everything from there west to roughly Polk Street will still be closed, and then there's a stretch between Prospect and Overland Hills Trail that will end up remaining closed as well. But the contractor is moving all of their formwork and everything that was staged inside the park area, the parking lot, and the 2 lots that we purchased, as well as their concrete washout and all the equipment that they're using or utilizing right now on Jackson Street. So that whole intersection will be cleared out, but will be barricaded, just west of Jackson Street. They are intending on having a big pour on Saturday this week where they're going to pour an additional mainline paving from Jackson all the way to Polk Street, but that'll just be about half of that cross section.
Ms. Myers and I had a meeting this evening after that, talking about that as well and how probably critically important having Lincoln totally open for that couple of day period would be. And so we're going to have some conversations tomorrow about some temporary actions so that we can actually get the road open and keep that traffic out of the neighborhood. So we'll keep you updated on that.
Okay, so there is a possibility that it'll be completely open?
That was from the discussion Ms. Myers and I had I believe that would be critically important. So she's going to visit with engineers about some temporary ways to get that opened.
Boy, I agree with you. funneling traffic through that neighborhood's bad enough right now.
Well, and part of it is you get the volume of people that are parking. Some of those no parking restrictions may need to be lifted, and then you just get that volume of traffic through the neighborhood. It's not set up for a good situation, so we want to look at some temporary measures to get it opened.
Thank you.
We'll keep you updated. Next is the consent. I'm going to remove item C6 from the consent if there's none others to be removed. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Councilwoman Klug. Second by Councilman Gaines. Any proponents? Look at the crowd behind me. Any opponents? Nobody sneaking up on me? Any council discussion? Please vote on everything except item C6.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
And I know some people were here for the temporary liquor licenses and the special designated. Those were on the consent, and so those were approved as part of that action. Next is item C6. Is there a motion to approve resolution R170104, a resolution to approve and accept the donation of a 1947 American LaFrance fire apparatus? Motion by Councilman Stubbe. Second by Councilman Jaworski. I'm going to call for proponents, and Dr. Joel and Lynette Jansen are here, along with Russ Zeeb from PVFD Inc., and I believe they want to have an opportunity to make a presentation as proponents. Dr. Jansen, come on up.
Hi.
And if you'd state your name for the record.
Joel and Lynette Jansen. Lynette and I have had the privilege of owning and maintaining the 1947 American LaFrance fire truck for 12 years. This 70-year-old truck, with a special attachment to the start of Papillion days, is a monument to the Papillion Volunteer Fire Department and to the city of Papillion. Allowing this fire truck to pass out of the state, as was once proposed, would have been a mistake. Papillion is and has been an important part of our lives. Lynette's parents, Paul and Elvira Basler, were grand supporters of the city, Paul D. being the superintendent of schools at Papillion La Vista. Lynette graduated from Papillion just 50 years ago in May and has taught in the system for 40 years. I have practiced dentistry here for 44 years. Our daughter Jody and son-in-law Brad are Monarch graduates, and our 3 grandsons are students in the city of Papillion. With all that said, Lynette and I are proud to give back the 1947 American LaFrance to its rightful owners, the community of Papillion. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Russ Zeeb. I want to switch gears a little bit. First off, I mean, these are some wonderful people standing here. I've known them for a long, long time. I think I probably had to apologize to Lynette's dad at least once to get back in school for some miscommunication, I think, along the way. But I want to tell you a little history of this fire engine that they are. It started Papillion days in 1947. My dad helped cook the barbecue for that down in the park. And at that time, the churches, the business community and that put on Papillion days, so it was quite a deal. In fact, one of the Historical Society members found a picture of the truck in front of the old laundromat, which is now Gage Shoe Repair, in the parade in 1947. So we're hoping to duplicate that picture this year in the parade. This is kind of a dream come true. I was getting my teeth cleaned one day at Joel's office, and he came in and said, "Hey, I got a deal for you." And the conversation went from there. I think I walked out of his office and called Dan Hoynes and said, "Hey, have I got a deal for you?" And that was, I think, in about February, and it's been kind of on a fast track since then. Here is the fire truck. It's the one on your left. It's a 1947 American LaFrance. It was the first new fire engine in the city of Papillion in the rural district. Sitting here, this used to be City Hall too, as a matter of fact, and the library. Upstairs, this was City Hall and this was the library and behind. And this steps was about an angle about like that. I don't think it was ADA compliant. The old hose cart sitting here is still on display at the downtown fire station, and we've got some plans for it later on. This house over here was owned by Louis Hochschild Sr., which is kind of ironic. He was in D-Day, which is today's anniversary, on World War I. And then they sold that house after it was flooded out in 1964, and the south part of the fire station was built where their house is. But here's, how did this fire station, or how did the fire truck end up where it is? This is where the history comes in. And about 1965, 66, Papillion sold that fire engine to Carter Lake, Iowa Volunteer Fire Department. Probably in about 1975, I was home from overseas already. The Carter Lake Fire Station caught on fire in the middle of the night. The firemen responded. The station was burning pretty good. They got the garage door open. They took an axe and broke the windshield out and drove the truck across the street, hooked it to a hydrant, and put the fire out. The truck ended up in a junkyard in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and Jack Miller and a couple others found it years later and brought it back to Papillion. And a guy downtown next to the Dairy Queen named Clyde Huey took the original photographs and put it back to its original order. I think you said 12 years ago it ended up in Joel's. It was sold years after that, much to some people's disliking, if you can read my gist on that. But we're glad that it's back. The mayor gave me a directive several years ago, I don't know when, that he wanted to start a museum in the city of Papillion for the volunteer fire department. And I think this is the absolute top of the line thing to start that with. I know Dan Hoynes, Councilman Mumgard, and a few others went down and visited that. It was cold, so I'm guessing in February, March time frame, and I was glad to see the support and see the truck, and we're glad to get it back here today. Joel and Lynette have been friends forever, and I'm proud of what they do for the community, and I'm proud for what you folks are hopefully going to do here in about a minute when you vote on this, and we'll get it back to the city. One last thing, and I'll say this here, and again, this is because of Mayor Black, Dan Hoynes, and Chris Myers. We have made arrangements that this fire truck will lead the parade the same way it did in 1947. So I think Chris did the final arrangements on that, but we're proud of that. And Jack Miller, who's the oldest member in the department, will be driving the truck through the parade. So we'll be sitting here at the corner. I think you guys come out of the alley here. We'll be sitting right across the street at the corner of 4th and Washington. Stop over and take a look at it if you can. Any questions for me?
Yeah, I have. Can you talk at all about where the truck will be kept once it comes to Papillion?
Well, it's currently kept. The chief and Jeff Jones and I made an agreement, and it's being housed downtown. It was delivered yesterday, and it's being housed downtown at the fire station. We have some plans and some dreams. I think you and I might have talked to them about them a little bit. Nothing is finalized, but our goal is to eventually build some type of a building for it and turn it into a museum. And whatever we do, I think I gave you my word on this a couple of months ago, you'll be proud of it.
Do you know where that building might be?
Well, my hope and dream is that we're able to build a garage next door to the current senior citizen building and house it there. Chris and I met maybe a week or so ago and went over some of my ideas and plans. I think once everything is approved tonight, we can maybe start working on some plans, but that'll probably come back to you, I think, at a later date for some amendments and that. But we've got some pretty nice plans, and we hope it works out with your support.
Russ, You talked a little bit about the history of the truck, which is kind of intriguing to me. Is there somebody that's going to kind of write that down and have that kind of in place?
We have
with the
a
truck?
history book now that's for
Okay.
the first 50 years, 1942 when they were started. This is our 75th anniversary. 1942 to 1992. We're now compiling some of the other since 92 to date to get it down. And Jack Miller has a lot of the stuff. Every few months he'll call me and say, come out and pick some more up. I found some. So we're trying to put that together. We have put together a collection of all the old photographs and things like that already on computer disk and that, and so that much is preserved, and I think that's what we plan on doing. If my dream comes true, we'll have a display board there with the display of the truck telling the history of it. It's really, I mean, I didn't go into it. They did a scrap iron drive in 1946 and 47 to raise the money to build that truck, or buy that truck. So there's a lot of history there that you're right needs to be preserved. Any other questions? Thank you again for all your support and assistance. I'm sorry, Mayor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It's not too often that residents come out and make such a significant donation. You can imagine what restoring a truck like that is like. And what was not shared is they had also found and acquired and restored the first fire truck that La Vista had. And they have donated that as well. So we got the Papillion La Vista Fire Department, we got the history of PVF Inc., and La Vista's got their own history of volunteer, and they acquired and have recently donated both of those. So very grateful community. Thank you very much. We should probably call for any opponents. I see none. Any council discussion? Please vote. And this is on the acceptance of the donation.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Thank you very, very much. Next is item D1, an ordinance to approve a change of zone from agricultural AG to single-family residential medium density R2 for the property legally described as tax lot 15 located in the west half of the southwest quarter of section 33, township 14 north, range 12 east of the 6 p.m., Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located northeast of 108th Street and Schramm Road, and the applicant is Dynasty Homes LLC, the reserve at Schramm Point. Is there a council member that will introduce? Introduced by Councilman Stubbe. Item D2, Ordinance 1775, an ordinance to approve a change of zone from agricultural AG to limited industrial LI for the property legally described as attractive land located in the south half of the northeast quarter of Section 35, Township 14 North, Range 11 east of the 6 p.m., Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located on the northwest corner of Highway 50 and Gold Coast Road. The applicant is Development Services Corp., Crossroads Commerce Park. Is there a council member that will introduce? Introduced by Councilman Jaworski. Item D3, Ordinance 1776, an ordinance to annex certain real estate to the city of Papillion, Nebraska, and to provide for an effective date thereof. This is City Park Expansion, Bellino 96, Pink Industrial Park 2, and Pink Industrial Park 2 Replat 1. Is there a council member that will introduce? Introduced by Councilman Ingberg. Item D4, Ordinance 1777, an ordinance to change the official zoning map of the city of Papillion in accordance with Section 20532 of the Papillion Municipal Code to adopt a zoning map and to apply existing or future zoning regulations, building ordinances, electrical ordinances, plumbing ordinances, and all other regulatory ordinances of the city of Papillion pursuant to Nebraska Revised Statute Section 16901 and to provide for an effective date. Is there a council member that will introduce? Introduced by Councilwoman Klug. Item D5, Ordinance 1778, an ordinance to approve a change of zone from agricultural AG to general commercial GC for the property legally described as Tax Lot B, lying within the west half of the southeast quarter of Section 35, Township 14 North, Range 12 east of the 6th p.m. of Sarpy County, Nebraska. Generally located west of Town Center Parkway along Olson Drive. The applicant is Advantage Investments Property LLC, Advantage Investments. Is there a council member that will introduce? introduced by Councilman Gaines. Item D6, Ordinance 1779, an ordinance to approve a change of zone from AG Agricultural District to MU Mixed Use for the property legally described as Tract 1, a tract of land located in the west half of the northwest quarter of Section 30, Township 14 North, Range 12 east of the 6 p.m., Sarpy County, Nebraska, and Tract 2, that part of the northwest quarter of Section 30, Township 14 North, Range 12 east of the 6 p.m., Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located near the intersection of South 132nd Street and Lincoln Road. The applicant is Jerry Reimer, Prairie Queen LLC, Prairie Queen. Is there a council member that will introduce? Introduced by Councilman Stubbe. It's all the regular agenda items. No committees met. And, no committees met. Is there any comments from the floor? Any comments from council? Seeing none, just a couple of updates from the last couple of weeks. Several of us on staff had a meeting with the Midlands Hospital leadership, try to understand a little bit of what their strategy is and what the hospital, what the needs of the community are and what role the hospital will play in that into the future. Ms. Myers, myself, Mr. Stursma met with a commercial industrial real estate broker that's doing some site selection for large manufacturing sites. Tried to talk about where those would be appropriate. Ms. Myers and I met with all of the city department heads regarding the upcoming budget and had a kickoff session for that. And she mentioned we'll be reaching out to you to set up conversations about that as well. Thanks to everybody that participated in the Memorial Day events. We actually had 3 Memorial Day events in Papillion, the Legion at the Cedardale Cemetery, had the first annual event at the National Cemetery, and then both the Legion and the director of the National Cemetery came back to Veterans Park that evening for another event. So thank you for everybody participating in that. And then Ms. Myers and I had a meeting yesterday morning, get my days mixed up, with United Cities. Most of that was just a recap of the legislative session and starting to understand what some of the interim studies are over the summer that the legislature is going to hold, and then just trying to understand a little bit what some of the priorities might be for next year. If you've got some things legislatively you want to address next session, it's not too early to raise those. A lot of that work's done over the summer, so bring those up to us if you've got anything for the legislature. And then Ms. Myers and I had a meeting with a couple of the FOP representatives as well, just to touch base with them. Very good session, good people. And that's most of the updates. Just a reminder again, the kickoff for Papillion Days is Wednesday at 6 p.m. out at the amphitheater. There's going to be both a concert and a movie. Try to make it a full night for everybody. And there's a couple of ribbon cuttings coming up too, and I've asked Allie to try to make sure that everybody's aware of those, so watch your emails for those. Any other comments? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Councilman Gaines. Second by Councilman Mumgard. Please vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
We are adjourned.